All right, Jim Merritt sets, pitches. Yastrzemski swings, and there's a drive hit deep into right center. That ball is going, it is gone. Home run number 44 for Carl Yastrzemski. This is Curt Gowdy. I've had the privilege of broadcasting sports for years all over the world. I think it's been a special thrill to me to watch great teams and stars perform. The real champs who've had that something extra. I was broadcasting the Boston Red Sox games when a young fellow named Carl Yastrzemski broke in as a rookie. And it wasn't easy for him at first. And I've watched him develop over the past few years into the top all-around star in baseball. Now, what he thinks about batting, fielding, and physical conditioning can help all you youngsters in this country. Probably the most difficult achievement, individual achievement in sports, is winning the Triple Crown in baseball. That is winning the batting title, hitting the most home runs, and knocking in the most runs in one season. Carl Yastrzemski is one of the few who has won the Triple Crown in the game. He's also the spark plug behind the almost impossible story of the Boston Red Sox winning the American League pennant. And he now has 2 silver bats, emblematic of American League batting champs. Carl, when did you really first start thinking about baseball and hitting a baseball?
Actually, Curt, started probably when I was about 5 or 6 years old. Of course, I came from a little potato farm in Long Island, a town of about 1,000 people. And ever since I can remember, during the summertime, I would have a bat, and I'd take a big potato bushel and gather up rocks and things of this nature, and then just hit them. And I kept on doing this until I was about 16, 17 years old, even in high school.
You really started hitting potatoes before you did baseball.
Yes, I did.
What about your dad? I know your entire family was very interested in baseball. In fact, he was a semi-pro player himself. Was your dad a big influence on you becoming a baseball player?
Yes, he did a great deal for me. Of course, he had to work very hard each day during the summertime, which is the peak of the potato season. We always come home about 6 o'clock at night, and here now he would play baseball with me for 2.5 hours every single night. Every single night he'd pitch to me, he'd field for me, shag, hit me ground balls, hit me fly balls. And this went on, like I said, till I was 16, 17 years old. One of the things which he never did, though, Curt, was really force me.
Didn't push you?
Didn't push me at all. Sometimes when I was a little tired or something like that, if I wanted to quit, he'd let me quit. He didn't try to scare me into being a great ball player. And this is the way he brought me up on baseball, as being a fun game. And therefore, I never grew tired of it, even though I'm putting all these hours in. It was always fun at all times.
You actually had a family team, didn't you?
Yes, we did. All my uncles from my mother's side and my dad's side played on a semi-pro team. And I was fortunate enough to play with this team my last 3 years when I was in high school.
Do you think it's important then for a boy to get started as young as he can in playing baseball?
Yes, I do, Curt, because a youngster playing at an early age is great. It develops his body, it teaches him competition. He's playing amongst other youngsters.
Did you play Little League Baseball or some kind of an organized youth program in those days?
Yes, I did. I played Little League Baseball, and
what do you think about Little League Baseball?
I think it's fantastic because anything which is organized or supervised by adults for youngsters is fantastic. I believe that competition among youngsters is tremendous because let them work out their energies among each other. It teaches them tremendous sportsmanship. It teaches a youngster how to accept losing as well as winning, how to bounce back. Is he good enough to bounce back? Everyone can win, but can he lose gracefully? It also gets the youngster with the parents, puts him in with him. The mother and father becomes interested in what the youngster wants to do. He's there. One of the things which I always will remember, and it's a fondest memory of mine with my parents, they never missed one event which I participated in, whether it be Little League, whether it be football, whether it be basketball, whether it be the school play, the school band. Or
you knew they were interested.
They were there every single event, and it's a great satisfaction knowing that someone is in the stands watching at all times perform and caring if you perform properly or not.
Carl, one thing I like about the Little League program is that all the boys get a chance to play.
Yes, Curt, this is very important. I know when I started off in Little League, I can always remember a big left-handed pitcher was from another team, and this kid was probably about 6 foot when he was 12 years old. He threw the ball hard. He just dominated the whole Little League, and the rules at such time he pitched the most innings and things of this nature. And a lot of the youngsters didn't even play, of course, who made the team. And this is bad. I'm glad now they have where they play all the same amount of time, and they have minor leagues. And if this is where parents again come into it. If a youngster does not make the Little League team, then they should have some type of minor league team, and the cost is nominal. All it costs a couple bats, a couple ball, but the big thing is to have parents running and supervising where these youngsters who are unfortunate enough to make the Little League team can play the minor league team. This comes about because a lot of youngsters develop at later date, Curt. You know that. All of a sudden you come out 3 or 4 years later, he's the star of the high school team because it takes him a little longer to develop. So this is why the youngsters who don't make that Little League team never give up. It takes you sometimes a little longer to develop than other boys.
Well, let's see if we can help some of these youngsters improve their game. And let's start, first of all, with the type of bat you think they should be using.
Well, a bat is very important. This is the most important thing because if you have tremendous bat control, you handle the ball. The main thing a youngster should try to do when he first starts out is just hit the ball. Don't try to guide it, don't try to pull it, don't try to hit it here or there. Just hit the ball and hit it hard anywhere. A base hit to left field is just as well as a base hit to right field. The main thing, though, for youngsters, don't use too heavy a bat. I can remember back to us 8, 9 years old in the Little League, always just about picking up a bat I could just handle it. It's so heavy, and I always figured the ball would always go further use a heavier bat. Consequently, I could never hit the ball because I had such a heavy bat. It's proven now, as you know, Curt, that all hitters in the major leagues use a tremendous amount of light bats, and this is why you see so many bats breaking all the time. But this is true. If you have a light bat, you choke up on a bat, the whip is what gives you the greatest distance. In other words, if you can swing a bat with great speed and with great, shall we say, control, this is how you make the ball travel further.
Same thing as in golf. The golfers are trying to get the club head and swing it as fast as they can.
That's very true.
And you want to swing this bat as fast as you can.
That's the most important thing. Swing it as fast as you can, but also not to the point where you're throwing your balance off. In other words, swing it fast, but also have perfect balance at all time, and don't be moving your head.
How about the length of the bat?
The length of the bat is important also. Now in the big leagues we can only use a 35 inches, the longest bat that we use. I can remember back in high school using probably a 33-inch bat because here again you haven't developed your true strength yet, you're not reaching your physical maturity yet, and therefore you have to compensate a little and therefore use a smaller bat.
But the biggest tip you have for boys is get a bat that you can handle and it's not too heavy.
That's right, and also choke up on that bat. Always choke up on the bat.
Have better control.
Yes.
What about stance, Carl Yastrzemski? We watch big league ball players. Everybody hits a little different. They stand in the batter's box differently. They all have their own way of doing things. And I imagine the youngsters can get pretty confused watching different styles. Do you have one stance you suggest? How do you feel about the stance in the batter's box?
Well, the main thing on a stance is for youngsters to be comfortable and not to copy a stance used by a big leaguer or a youngster who is more successful than he is at this time. Use your own stance, which is most comfortable to you. For a youngster just starting out, he should be comfortable, should have tremendous balance. In other words, spread his legs apart a little bit where he's nice and balanced, bend his legs just a little at the knees, almost to where he's very comfortable. And when he does make a stride into the ball, that he doesn't have to jerk his head or anything of this nature. That's why you need to flex your knees just a little, because you stand too stiff upright. Therefore, when you take your stride, your head will drop, say, an inch or two, and therefore your eyes will move off the ball. He should always keep his arms away from the body because this is where the power is. In other words, in order to hit the ball, your arms have to be away from the body. So why not start out with your arms away from the body? Tuck that shoulder in. Always tuck your shoulder in, the one that faces the pitcher. If you're a left-handed hitter, your right shoulder is to be tucked in. If you're a right-handed hitter, your left shoulder will be tucked in. This gives you the power and also the ability to wait on the ball and to watch that pitcher. Keep that head very still and always watching the pitcher's hand, not his body or anything else, just the pitcher's hand. Concentrate on the pitcher's hand and the ball.
In other words, if you watch the body, sometimes you're watching the motion instead of the ball itself and the delivery.
Yes, one of the things in the big leagues, what some of the great pitchers have, you can take in the National League, Marichal, one of his greatest things is a high kick, and I think he disturbs a lot of hitters because of his style. his herky-jerky motion. The boy in our ball club, Jim Lomberg, one of the best pitchers in the majors, he has a high kick and a herky-jerky motion. There again, I think a lot of people get involved with that motion and forget all about the ball.
All right, you're standing in. Everybody might stand a little bit different with the stance, but you still get down to the one thing they have to do is to hit the baseball. So they have to step into the pitch, and they should have a level swing. Now, some batters say they hit down on the ball. Others say they hit up. What do you think about the swing itself?
The swing itself should be a more or less a level swing with just maybe a slight uppercut to it. This is because if you hit too many ground balls and things of this nature, you're going against yourself at all times. Of course, if you have too much of an uppercut, you just hit pop-ups at all times. The thing is, though, for a youngster to be comfortable, have a level swing, make sure when you step in that batter's box, stand deep in the batter's box. This gives you a little extra time to look at the ball. I mean, stand on that back line, cover the plate with your bat. Don't step into the bucket. A lot of kids you see in Little League and high school step into the bucket because they have fear of being hit. In other words, if a youngster has made that baseball team, his reflexes will get him out of the way of a pitch. He doesn't have to worry about getting hit. If a pitcher happens to throw a ball that goes a little wild or something like that, automatically his brain will relax and throw him to the ground and get him out of the way of the pitch. So when a hitter goes in, he has to have no fear of being hit.
If you have fear, you're not going to be a hitter.
You're not going to make it, Curt. You've seen so many ball players with a little bit of fear just drop by the wayside.
Now, I've seen you over the years, from when you were a rookie to telecasting you in the World Series last year across America. Still, you swing very hard. You have one of the hardest swings in the game. Do you think boys should swing as hard as they could?
I don't know if they should swing as hard as they can. Let's put it this way. I like to take a good hard cut. In other words, I don't want to, say, make contact with a ball, say, just trying to hit it, because there now you're losing power. You're also losing confidence in yourself. In other words, there's nothing wrong with being an average hitter just hitting base hits, because I always have been one until this time. But the main thing is to hit that ball hard for a base hit. Don't try to hit a little dribbler. Don't try to be feeling for the ball. In other words, take a good, healthy cut, but yet a cut where you don't lose your balance.
You only hit 20 home runs a year, your tops, until this past season when you hit 44 home runs. Why suddenly did you become an outstanding home run hitter?
Well, I think it's because of a program which I went through this past winter, an exercise program, physical fitness program, in which I developed myself a little more. In other words, I always thought I was in pretty good shape. I never had any weight problem, but I never did anything that required any type of strength. This does not mean that you youngsters have to go down to a gym or anything of that nature to do exercises. Do sit-ups, do some push-ups, do some jumping jacks. The regular exercises that kids go through in school programs are sufficient. You don't have to do them for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 3, 4, 5 minutes a day just to keep yourself in trim.
What part of the body did you try and strengthen?
The big thing I try to work on, Curt, is the hands and the arms. In other words, when I'm saying you don't have to do any exercise program, I'm saying that I use 2 rubber balls which I squeeze at all times. Maybe I squeeze 300 times a day each hand. Maybe I swing a lead bat 50 times a day. Now this is adequate for me, so therefore for a youngster, if he squeezed a rubber ball maybe 50 times a day, or swung a lead bat, or a bat that's a little heavier, maybe 20 times or 10 times a day, this is sufficient. Don't do anything unnatural with that lead bat. In other words, take your same natural swing as you would if a pitcher threw a ball to you. Because if you try to do something else, then you're going to develop a bad swing. Just do the same natural swing. In other words, get into your stance, make believe there's a pitcher out there, make believe he's throwing you the baseball, you take that stride, you take that swing, and keep your head level at all times.
I remember Ted Williams used to swing a lead bat in front of a mirror and watch himself.
Yes, this is excellent because you develop your stance, you can see yourself, you can see the levelness of your swing and things of this nature, and also you can watch yourself. If you're looking straight at that mirror and seeing yourself swing, you have to be looking straight at the pitcher.
Speaking of Ted Williams, I'd like to get your impressions of some of the top batters in baseball and what makes them good. First of all, what about Williams himself?
The thing which always impressed me about Williams, Curt, is his tremendous ease of a swing. Here's a fellow who, of course, his reflexes and eyes and everything made him the greatest hitter that ever lived, as far as I'm concerned. But he worked, and he worked very hard at it. He worked every day. As you said, he swung a bat in front of his mirror. Even when he was, 44 years old when he quit, Curt? He
Right.
This.
In other words, work really pays off for a good athlete.
Yes, it does. It, you need hard work. There's no substitute for hard work for success. Even if a youngster is not an athlete, I'm talking about school, Kurt. I can remember back when I was in school, if you had a little subject that was giving you a little trouble, you put less and less time in. Instead of putting more timing on the subject, you kind of want to push it in the background. And when that test came up and you got that 30 or 40, you know, you just want to pass it over. Instead of putting more and more time on your bad subjects, you always want to work on your good subjects, and you kind of want to bypass it, which reacts to baseball. A lot of people always want to work on their strong points. Instead of working on their weaker points and trying to develop them, they always want to work on their stronger points. And this is why maybe you don't see that great all-around ball player too often.
Now, you played against Hank Aaron in the All-Star game. What do you think about his hitting style?
Well, Hank now is completely different from Williams. Ted, of course, is a classics. Stand up with a little spread of his feet and a quick, powerful swing. Aaron is more or less a lunge hitter, what you would call. He hits off his front foot. But this is because he has those lightning wrists and powerful wrists. He just uses wrist. He doesn't use his body at all, and therefore he can get away with leaning on his front foot and all, more or less called lunge hitting. But he has his bat back because he just uses his hands.
How about Mickey Mantle?
Mantle is a person now that has just brute strength. He is so powerful a man, he can overpower a ball. In other words, Mickey can hit a home run to any part of the field, whether it's 500 feet, 450 or what, because he's so strong. All he has to do is make contact and let his brute strength take over. And here's where he's so different from just the two fellows we mentioned.
Fellow with a remarkable record is Roberto Clemente of the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Probably one of the most unorthodox hitters in baseball. Looks like he's bailing out, Kurt. At all times, he's stepping in a bucket and things of this nature. He's hitting the ball behind him. But there again, that's his style, and he's been successful at it, and he's been a 4-time champion in the National League.
You played against Cepeda in the World Series, Orlando Cepeda of the Cardinals.
Here's a classic example now, a big, strong guy not going for home runs, a baby bull. What's he weigh, 220 pounds?
Right.
Something like that. Here he uses a closed stance and steps into the ball, stands deep in the batter's box and steps into the ball and tries to hit everything to right center field, more or less.
I know you've admired Willie Mays over the years.
Here's a fellow who's probably the same position I'm in. He weighs, I think, 182, 183 pounds, 5'11", 6 foot. Here again, he's, I think, is something similar to I am. We have short, compact, hard swings. We try to keep everything to let go at once. In other words, we don't swing to that last split second, because when you're smaller, you need everything to go at once. You need your body, shoulders, and hips going all together for you.
You don't have to be big to be a strong hitter then.
No. Take, for example, Jimmy Wynn of the Houston Astros. Here's a boy who's only 5'9", 165 pounds, and I think he hit 40 home runs last year, something of this nature, and also had a 300 batting average. I talked to Jimmy at the All-Star game at a luncheon we had, and very encouraging for a youngster. I asked him, because of his size, at any time did he think he could make the big leagues. He said he always believed in himself, and all he did was work even harder and harder and harder than the other boys, because he had to.
You and Harmon Killebrew battled it out for home runs last season.
Of course, Harmon's a classic home run hitter, stand-up straight, powerful, and when he hits a ball, he really rocks it. He has tremendous back strength. He's something like Mantle. He overpowers the baseball.
Two fellows that stand close to the plate and get hit a lot. You might want to comment on Frank Robinson, who's also been a Triple Crown winner, the way you have, and your own teammate, Tony Conigliaro.
Yes, both of these hitters are approximately the same. They stand on top of the plate, they lean over the plate. But their feeling is, don't give in a pitcher. I talked to Tony this past winter, and he says he's going to stand right back up on the plate. He's not afraid. It's just one of those things that happen. So there's another tip for the youngsters. Don't be afraid, even though you get hit once in a while. He said he can't change his stance because this is the way he hits. He can't give in to the pitcher. He says if he backs away from the plate, he'll admit defeat, and therefore he doesn't think he'll be a good hitter anymore.
A fellow that battles you every year, you're right up there, both of you, for the batting crown, is Al Kaline of the Tigers.
Yes, Al is a classic pull hitter. He tries to pull everything. There again, it's taken him a long time, though, Kurt, to develop this. He reminds me probably almost like myself. First coming up, I used to hit the all field, spray the ball around. I think Al Kaline did. I never saw him.
Right, he did.
First. And then he said when he became 26, 27 years old, he learned how to hit. He gathered his physical maturity, and he started pulling everything. He put everything together. Reminds me also of a fellow like Tony Oliva, a slashing hitter, hits the ball to the opposite field as hard as he does when he pulls the ball. But there again, the only thing Tony tries to do is he says he tries to make contact with the baseball, just hit the baseball hard somewhere.
You have another good young hitter on your ball club, George Scott.
Yes, he's the classic example of a home run hitter who had a low batting average. His rookie year, he had 28 home runs. He struck out a record amount of times, something like 162, 163 times, and hit something like 240. Now, in 1967, the past season, he went to spring training with the idea of trying to hit the ball back through the middle, just trying to hit the ball. Don't try to pull it. Don't try to go for the home runs. He ended up raising his average over 60-some points, hitting over 300 for one of 3 hitters in the American League to hit over 300. He still hit 19 home runs, and he wasn't even trying for the home runs. Now next year, with George now a little bit more confidence, knowing him for the high average, he will also increase his home run production. It all works hand in hand.
Carl, what did you do actually for physical conditioning this past winter to get yourself in such superb shape?
Well, very simple exercises, Curt. First of all, I didn't use any weights. It was more or less speed exercises. In other words, say if I did push-ups, I didn't try to go down and do 25, 30 push-ups. Maybe I did 10 push-ups. Then maybe I laid down on my back and did 10 sit-ups. And then I rolled over on my stomach and did some exercises on my stomach and things of this nature. And maybe I'd get up and use the pulleys, work on the pulleys for a while. Climb the rope, just an ordinary rope hanging from a tree or anything, climbing up on this rope because it's pulling, making your arms and body do all kinds of things. Then maybe again I jump rope for 3 or 4 minutes, switching feet and things of this nature. You talk about jumping rope, it's a great exercise for you because it's a great exercise for your timing and your coordination. You do everything possible jumping rope. And kids should try it sometime. Jump rope if you think you're in great shape. Jump rope for 5 minutes straight.
Well, speaking of the youngsters, what should they be doing? Maybe not the same program you had, but would you have one that maybe 15 minutes a day they could do?
Yes, the things I just mentioned, excellent, Curt, because it doesn't need a gym or facilities. You can do these right in your bedroom, things of that nature. Do, say, sit-ups, push-ups. If you get outside during a chance, then sometimes do some jump rope. But then do the jumping jack. Use running in place. Do some things such as laying on your back, spreading and lifting your legs up, rotating in a circle, rotating back again. Spread them, bring them apart, and bring them back down, just about touching the ground but don't touch. Maybe do this 3 or 4 times a day. Do touching your toes. In other words, bring your feet up too and touch your toes in midair, things of this nature. When you lay on your stomach, you lift your hands and your feet up and keeping yourself stiff and rigid. This way it gives you tremendous stomach control. Then hold on to your legs behind your tip of your toes and roll on your stomach. This will build you up.
And many of the things you talk about are now being done in the schools around the country. We woke up in this country and realized that our youth are getting soft. And I've gone around and represented the physical fitness program. You have too. And we have our own youngsters now in school. And I'm very happy to see that in our elementary schools, our junior highs, and our high schools, that they've stepped up physical conditioning. They realize now that if you start a boy or a girl off and get their body in good shape and stress on them to keep their body in shape the rest of their life, they're going to have a healthier, a livelier life, and they're going to do a lot better in life. And it's been proven by doctors and research that the healthier the body, the more we exercise, the healthier hearts we're going to have. And also, one thing I like, Carl, in the schools, you don't have to be just a football quarterback or a left fielder in baseball. They have a program for everybody now. They're playing soccer and all kinds of team sports, volleyball, and they want everybody to participate and get some kind of form of exercise during the day. I think this is important. The main thing is to keep the body in shape, get it that way, and maintain it the rest of your life.